Hey, it's Patrick Brewer here from Brewer Consulting, hanging out in sunny Orlando, Florida for the TD Ameritrade Conference. We were making our rounds, talking to some of the tech vendors, my old colleagues at Dimensional, and also some of our marketing consulting clients. And at lunch, I got a really good question from one of the advisors at the table. They're trying to reinvent their business. At this point, they've been focused mostly on retirees and pre-retirees, and they're looking to work with people that are 25 to call it 55 years old. And they would ask me a question about the sales process. How do they connect with that group of individuals, and how do they get them to want to become clients of their firm? Right? It's a big question, and I feel like that's facing a lot of RIAs today that have an aging client base. How do you connect with the next generation? So I just want to walk you through my sales process and how we do it in my firm and just some of the things that have worked for us. I think the first thing that advisors need to do is acknowledge that that generation, people that are, let's say, 25 to 45, most of the stuff that they've been able to get in their lives is really transactional. They go on Amazon, OneClick Buy. It's very easy, and they haven't had to put in a lot of effort in building relationships. They probably only have maybe 4 to 5 close relationships in their life, and when they come into your office, they're usually thinking, their expectation, because this is how they've been programmed by the world, is that what you provide is a transactional service, whether that's financial planning, they need help making sure they're on track or reallocating their 401k, or maybe they just want your opinion on what their budget looks like. They're expecting that you're going to trade them information quickly for an hourly rate, and then they can just go on with their life and not have to think about you again, right? Because that's how they've done everything up until this point. Now, some advisors have structured their firm this way, but I think they're doing a disservice to those prospects, to those clients. And we all know why, because people's lives change over time. So the way that we handle this in our firm with the sales process is when somebody comes in that's in that generation, we ask them a bunch of questions. The first thing that we're trying to do is figure out what their logical problem is. So do they have a problem with budgeting? Do they have a problem with financial planning? Are they worried about investments, right? What is their logical problem? Then we try and transition that into an emotional problem. How does that affect them emotionally if they don't make any changes and start to think about planning for the future? So once we've introduced emotion into the equation, well, now we can actually have a sales discussion, because if emotion is not present, then there's no sales to be made, right? And we're doing this in an ethical way. There's no, manipulative or fear-based selling tactics here. We're just trying to get people to stop thinking transactionally about their life. So once we've introduced emotion into the equation, I walk people through a very simple exercise. I basically ask them, Steve, let's assume the prospect's name is Steve. Steve, 10 years ago, do you feel like your finances and just your life in general were similar or different to what it is today? And he's going to say, well, it's totally different. I lived in my college dorm room and I was just eating ramen noodles all the time, and I was making $14 an hour working at the local gym around the corner. Okay, well, in the next 15 to 20 years, do you feel like your life might look a little bit different than it does today? Well, yeah, no, we're going to have kids and we're going to have to send them to college, and then we've got to start thinking about other things in our life. Okay, great. So, does it make sense for me to tell you a little bit about what I do? So at this point, I usually explain exactly how I help, and it aligns with the emotional problem that they face as a person. And then I say the way that we work with people is, instead of just doing a one and done plan or just fulfilling a service, we actually get to know you intimately, so that when you go through these life transitions, you have somebody there that knows who you are and what you're looking to achieve. And that trust is, frankly, it's not built overnight. So what we're trying to do is get to know one another so that when those transitions happen and when life throws us curveballs, we can make smart decisions. So do you feel like that could be what you're looking for? And they're going to say, well, yeah, I think that it is. And then I'm going to ask them a simple question. I'm going to say, well, why do you feel like it is? And then they're going to explain back to me why they think my solution is best. And then I'm going to ask them another question. I'm going to say, Steve, do you think that it makes sense for us to kind of solve this right now and just kind of give you a plan and have you walk away, or does it make sense for us to have a more long-term relationship where we can work together to address these needs? And he's going to say, I think it makes sense to work long-term. Okay, great. Well, this is how we do that. So we transition then to the next part of the conversation, which is more of the sales discussion to set the engagement. So that's really all you have to do. It's that simple. You just let the client tell you what they're looking for, and you just frame it in a way that allows them to see that things are different. It's not transactional. It's not a transactional decision, because they're planning for their family's entire life. But the only way to do that is to flesh out the logical problem first, address the emotional issues, and then get them thinking along a productive path so they can make smart decisions with you as their financial advisor as they address these things in their life. I hope that was helpful. Take care.